Well, welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. And, well, we're at the point of this video. Last video we had the true happy ending. Now we're going to have all the killing. So, let's try to see where that stuff options start. Okay, so not here. Load. Go up. 6. Skip. Ah, yes. Are each of these different? Now this one I picked the one time where I chose to don't kill her yet. Kill her. For a moment her will coalesced and Lizzie was utterly certain that she needed to kill the girl, her fingers twitched preparing. And at that moment memories John flickered in her vision. In that instant they seemed nonsensical, but they pulled her back from the edge. Barely it took a supreme effort of Lizzie to hide her near outburst. The stupid girl hadn't noticed, but John would have, and answer calmly. I don't think it's your place to meddle with our relationship. Okay, we're back to the skipping stuff. Slit her throat immediately. Memories of John floated in her mind, bringing her peace and calm. Lizzie gave the girl a smile. I'm sorry you feel that way. I really don't think it's your place to judge a relationship, but this is. I'm going to get on with my life now. You get on with yours. Lizzie gave her another smile and departed as swiftly as possible, a skip in her step. There was no question that the girl needed to be disposed of. The only question was what way would be most appropriate. That meant she needed to choose other methods, which Lizzie would have found rather pleasant. As nice as it would have been to remove her directly, Lizzie decided it would be best to remove her with poison. While it wouldn't be effortless to gather necessary supplies without arousing suspicion, she had access to many resources on campus. It wouldn't be hard, not at all. Lizzie still made sure to do everything all right, tailing the girl over several days to learn her schedule and determine potential problems. She was shockingly casual about leaving drinks lying around her dorm room, so the only issue was getting in and out unseen. When the day finally came, it was disappointingly easy. Lizzie was so happy to hear the news that it was easy to pretend to be upset and everything was perfect now. But when she got home, she found John sitting on the couch with a somber expression on his face. Lizzie rushed up to him immediately. John, what's wrong? Did you hear about the girl who died? Yes, I don't really care about her, but I can pretend to be sad, don't worry. She said it lightly, trying to draw a smile from him, but John remained somber. Lizzie, you still get the urge to kill people? You know I do, but you think I would actually kill someone, do you? Especially not an innocent girl. That's good. I really do love the way you are, but sometimes I worry that... Please, don't worry, John. Everything is fine now. We're safe. There's no need to kill anymore. I guess I'm just being paranoid. There was the smile she wanted from him. Lizzie happily went to embrace him, gripping it as tightly as could. It had been true. There was no need to kill anyone. The threat was gone, and she was at peace again. And John wouldn't notice anything that she would love him forever. There was nothing left to do but make happy college memories. Defending him. So, we temporarily got the angry psycho picture from the, which is, the broken glass and angry face, showing that we failed to restrain ourselves. But, are there other options? Let's choose down here, move her fingers, and feed them to her. Nope. Load. Choose the very top one. Befriend her. All the same. Load. Skip. Very bottom one. And the conversation. When she arrived, she threw herself to John's arm tightly and looked concerned. He understood and embraced her. The bitch was wrong. She was the problem, not Lizzie. Definitely not John. She was holding her, stroking her gently to better place. Being in his arms always calmed her. And soon, Lizzie was closer to what others would consider normal. Okay. I feel like I'm missing an option here. I'll have to come back to that. Ask him to help dealing with stress. John, there are a lot of things making me really anxious. I'm sometimes afraid to tell you about them. Really? You feel that way? It isn't all idle fears, Sean. I don't like seeing you near other girls, even if it's nothing going on. Even if they're married and lesbians. And you would never do anything. I don't like it. Okay, I'll stay out of situations that make you uncomfortable as much as possible. Just tell me when you're uncomfortable, right? Now, I'll say this about relationships. This is very unhealthy what Lizzie is doing. One, while you should definitely trust your partner, you shouldn't try to hold them back from family, friends, professional help, from having their own lives. You know, they certainly shouldn't cheat on you or anything, but at the same time, and they certainly should never take you for granted, but you shouldn't be controlling or isolating to somebody. You should definitely care about a person, not want them to cheat on you, but at the same time, you shouldn't be overly jealous or possessive. That's not healthy or good for either person. And that's a huge red flag of a very unhealthy relationship. Okay, John. She eagerly leaned into his embrace, filled with warmth. Maybe it would now easier now. She had held back many thoughts, but he had just given her permission to share them. Now she could keep them safe more easily. Has anything changed? John had gone home a while ago after making a few social rounds. She thought he was actually glad to leave, since parties weren't his sort of thing, even if they had lots of people under other circumstances. Part of her wanted to go home with him as soon as he had left, but he noticed he was busy with other conversations and said she would catch up later. Okay, we're back to skipping stuff. That was fine her, though she immediately began to consider her exit route. Best to go home with him, but before she could finish, someone else ambled up beside her. Enjoying yourself, Lizzie? Okay. We'll go the proper route here and okay, I still want this route. Okay, still happy. Load. Skip. Go with this killer. Acquire napalm. Load. Barrier alive. Trying to look for something unique. I think they're all going to be the same, but I still want to check. I'm not going to go through and click every one of these, but... Strangler with own intestines. I still see that face pop up a tiny bit crazy from the... But because I have the happy ending, you know it. I'll go with this one. Remove her cleanly and dispose of the body. Okay. Well, time to look for other things. What about before this? Skip. Back to this. So we'll go with... Don't kill her yet. Slit her throat immediately. You mentioned the terrible girl from the psych class. All the awful things she said about us? Lizzie flipped to the page after the event had occurred. Pages, actually. She had forgotten how much she had written after that, though now it was crystal clear to her. After it happened, I felt everything. I hate her, John. I still wish I could get rid of her. But you won't, right? No, writing it down, it captures what I'm feeling. Somehow when I look over it again, I remember all the emotions. But there's some distance now. They're not as strong inside me. I think I get that. Maybe that's a healthy thing. Though I do worry sometimes you get yourself more worked up writing out your thoughts. But it doesn't have to be writing, John. I can get the same effect from talking to you. It's better that way, not just because I'm talking to you, but because you always have new thoughts and interesting things to say, and so sometimes I think about things differently. I'm glad to hear that. I'm always here to talk, Lizzie. I know, it's wonderful, but I don't have to share everything, do I? Sometimes what I'm thinking is just silly, and it doesn't matter. I don't want to waste your time. He considered it very seriously and pulled a little closer with a smile. You can tell me anything at all, Lizzie, but don't feel obligated, unless you don't have a working brain. Everyone has tons of minor thoughts. They just pass through your mind. They don't matter unless you focus on them. I mean, I have a lot of dumb little thoughts. There's no point sharing. That's not true. I'd love to see every single thought you ever think. I believe you. Since that's not the world we live in, we can just talk to each other, okay? She eagerly nodded and pressed herself against him even closer. She was right to talk to him. John always had good things to say. But as warm as things were between them, Lizzie felt a bit of hesitance. When she looked at his face, she saw something shift, and realized there was something less pleasant he wanted to bring up. Oh, already been here. We will forget about it. We will ask John. Skip. Trust lowercase m. Say I do. Okay, loading. To before that. Still back to this. Okay. Okay, load. Okay, we're back at the sex scene part. But I think I'm going to... Yep, this is definitely the sex scene part. So we're going to load a different one, because I can't show that on YouTube. This is also the sex scene part. I'm really worried to click on this, because I don't want to get to the next screen. Load. Yes. Okay, back to the crazy shit. Now, of course, other than we would ignore targets find John, but this time, eliminate everyone in the room. Lizzie's mind raced, considering her best course of action. Then she heard John's voice. In a rush, she realized how close she had come to making a mistake, one that might have hurt him. She wasn't stable, and thinking about that fact didn't help. Lizzie hurried to track him down. Okay. Don't participate. I don't know, John. I think we might need to get back. Are you serious? We need all the help we can get. Most students don't care about these things. Sorry, but that's how it goes. We should get back. Geez, she really has you, huh? Lizzie smiled and slid a hand into her purse, feeling a cool handle. And I wouldn't want it any other way. We'll see you later, okay? They left with a few more goodbyes and headed home swiftly, Lizzie clinging to his arm. John seemed a little stressed, but when they got home, she gave him a long shoulder massage, and they ended up drifting to sleep together on the couch. The normal routine and a chance to be alone calmed Lizzie considerably. She recognized that there had likely been no threat, but it was still nice to spend time alone with him. Smiling to herself, Lizzie leaned back against him and sank into sleep. Let's see how that changes the story. She spent a while writing in her notebook, many of its pages now heavy with ink. Okay. Now, of course, what could possibly be? Her mind imagined that it was some kind of love letter. But she discarded that possibility as quickly as she could. No, John wouldn't do that. If he wrote a love letter, it would be to her. He looked so sad, though. Lizzie stared as if her gaze could strip away his skull and reveal every thought inside. If she just understood him perfectly, she could prevent him from being sad, and there would be no anxiety then, only perfect trust for one another. Lizzie retreated further in the library, just in case he looked up in any direction, and watched him from a vantage point. Even he wouldn't notice. He did glance up a few times, almost as if he felt her watching, but she was too well hidden. It was wonderful that he could almost sense her, but Lizzie needed to watch him for now. Eventually, she would understand. Hours passed in a flash, and suddenly John was standing and yawning. After so long of his stillness, it was almost startling. Apparently his shift was almost over, which meant he would need to lock up. Deciding that she had watched long enough, Lizzie sneaked through the back stacks and approached from near the entrance, beaming. John smiled the instant he saw her. "Oh, Lizzie, I hope you weren't lonely. I just wanted to come greet you once your shift was over. You're a sight for sore eyes. After this dead shift, just give me a moment to lock up." It didn't take him long, and then they were walking across campus to head back home, her arms through his and his head leaning against his shoulder. They passed the couple, now lying on the top of one another. John seemed a little surprised, but shook his head. Lizzie inclined her head over toward them, then looked back at him and raised her eyebrows. "Sorry, I can barely keep my eyes open." "That's okay, I know you've studied hard. Let me help you rest." When they got home, she quickly took his bag from him and put it away before he could go to the trouble. If she acted quickly enough, he wouldn't need to use any more energy to make decisions and could just relax. Eventually he fell asleep with his head on her lap. Finally looking truly at peace, Lizzie stroked his hair and stared down at him, watching. Okay. Since she had reacted negatively, John hadn't pushed hard to get involved. He had assisted in a number of indirect ways, which Lizzie thought was better for him anyway. Then she should stop. You've already done plenty to help. Maybe you're right. If she had let him participate more earlier, would he not feel like he had done so much now? Lizzie began considering 1,000 different possibilities, many of them blaming herself. If only she could have foreseen this. Lizzie realized that she needed to get out Be quietly supportive. Lizzie decided that it was her turn to carry him. She doted on him for the rest of the evening, getting everything he needed, eating with him, and when he got hungry, staying close. When they finally went to sleep, she held him gently, glad to see some of the tension finally easing from his face. He actually fell asleep beside her in a way that he hadn't in some time. Okay, this is another achievement. Once he was asleep, Lizzie let herself stare at him without trying to hide anything in her gaze, drinking him in. This was her John. She had to protect him. I want to see something at the Steam page real quick. I have 7 out of 9 achievements now. This was her John. She had to protect him. As she fell asleep, Lizzie settled on her thought. This visit might be a good thing, but she might... Okay. Did anything change? Oh! I can actually kill her now, because I fucked up enough. Go through with it. We didn't actually kill her, or did we? I don't know. Either way. Now, since I noticed a little discrepancy before. What? What happened? Okay, this time we will go the proper path again. Take John's idea, because I noticed other options we got at the library. Have some fun is where we got the sex scene from. But how about this? Let's just watch it. Just deciding that he might be disrupted while he was focused on work, Lizzie changed her mind. Lizzie retreated further in the library, just in case... Content, Lizzie returned home to Waiter's return. Then she could return the warm feeling he'd given her. Okay. Ignore targets, find John. Take John's idea. Try to see what he's writing. Lizzie retreated to a safe distance and waited, eyeing the desk and the paper on what could possibly be. She trusted him, but she was immensely curious. Could it be something for her? Might she be spoiling a surprise? Lizzie considered it a moment and decided that she didn't care. She could be surprised by his thoughtfulness now, and she would be just as happy when he revealed it later. Eventually she got her chance. John got to go to the bathroom, knowing the distance wasn't far. Lizzie waited until the first moment he was out of sight, and darted toward the desk. The paper was rather cryptic, a list of numbers that looked like monetary values, a few words, an idle sketch of a knife, which made her smile a little. Her eyes ran over the words, which communicated little. Many were locations like City Hall. Was it just business for upcoming event then? Lizzie frowned and inspected instead the numbers. They all had 2 decimal places, like they were prices. The total was a little high for a meager budget. Something for the event at a local club? Or was he planning something else entirely? Before Lizzie could come to any conclusion, she heard a flush. Sighing, she moved away, careful not to let her passing disturb the paper. By the time John returned, there was no trace of her presence. Just what was he working on? Lizzie was certain it wouldn't be anything bad. John would never do something bad. But she pondered all the way home. Okay. Talk about issues. Though John didn't have much energy, but he did his best to listen. Things on when Lizzie began to tell that he was growing more depressed. She wished she could decide it differently. Kill her. Strangle her. Okay. Loading. Skip. Defend John with knives. Let him participate, but keep him safe. I can handle everything at home, John. You can have fun here. But I was thinking that. But I wasn't thinking that way. You don't have to. No, it's fine. I'll have everything ready for you to get back. She left with a quick kiss. There was a lot of exclamation points at the end. That kind of makes me feel like she was angry saying that. Maintained her cheerful pace until she was out of sight, then doubled back around, her hand slipping into her purse to feel the cool handle of her axe. Jumping to catch a fire escape, Lizzie pulled herself up and moved to the top of the administration building, then waited by the edge as she expected. John eventually emerged with a group of other students carrying flyers as discussed. Using her vantage point, Lizzie watched them carefully as they posted the flyers around campus. Why were they sticking together in small clusters? It didn't make any sense, since it would be more efficient to go alone. But they all seemed to be laughing and enjoying themselves. As soon as they got further into campus, Lizzie stepped back, slipped back down, and tailed them. No girls tried to get too close to John, but they were having too much fun for her liking. Worse, John didn't even seem to be enjoying himself, as he sometimes could with crowds, his expression slightly distant, as if troubled by something. Were they bothering him? Were they like his old awful friends? Lizzie clenched the handle of her axe. Those guys were dicks. They were terrible people, but decided that there was no need to act. Instead, she needed to keep her promise to have everything ready for him. After staying a while longer, Lizzie headed out to make dinner and clean. She got everything done, and John seemed to be glad to see her when he got back. But while she had waited, Lizzie added several pages to her notebook. They had spent quite a lot of time helping with preparations, Lizzie always following John to make sure nothing bad could happen. She had enjoyed the extra time watching him, and it seemed like John was very invested in the upcoming event. But when she came home from class one day, she realized she might have gotten it entirely wrong. John slumped on the couch. Okay, we're back to this stuff. Has someone done something to make you feel bad? I think they did. Lizzie, it will be okay. Really, you don't need to check me. I can handle myself. Lizzie nodded and smiled, but his words sent her into a spiral of concern. Had he noticed her, John might have his normal senses, but he had gotten very good at noticing her presence. If so, then it was possible that she had made his problem worse by watching him. Lizzie began running over every minute action, reanalyzing it with this new information. Lizzie realized that she needed to get out of her... Okay. Talk about issues. Kill her. Go through with it. We'll try starting from... Damn it! I played the first one. Skip. Let's try to make every possible bad decision. Okay. Kill the track team. She actually took a step toward them, hand moving to a weapon, but no, she didn't need to do that anymore. But for a moment she had wanted to, fully intended to. Lizzie had to take a deep breath and focus to turn away from the choice. Okay. I'm going to try to make every bad decision now. Bring up something else. Do you think we can really graduate early? My advisor was trying to convince me to take lower course load. I think it'd be best. Things are challenging. We need to get jobs as soon as we can. Plus, the sooner we can start paying off this debt, the better. I'm sure you're smart enough to do it, John, but tell me, there's too much work, okay? Of course. He kissed her lightly and Lizzie smiled down at him before straightening up. Though she longed to stay, she knew that it was better to go to class. Maximizing time in the short term would only hinder their long-term objectives, and she wanted much more of them. Okay, we're back to the skipping. Reluctantly, Lizzie pulled herself away, chewing on one finger. John might be mentally healthy, but he still needed protection. Her mind flashed back to the track team, because we're still going to get to kill them, probably. And the other threats on campus. She would make sure that nothing could interfere with their love. Haha. I could choose to let it go, but investigate track team. Realizing that she had higher priorities, Lizzie set about considering her options. The track team was definitely the place to start, but she needed to reconsider options carefully. Making her way to the track, Lizzie reconsidered the situation rationally. Obviously not the entire track team was guilty, and some of them might be suspicious, but wouldn't be able to touch John. The best way was to... After watching long enough, Lizzie knew exactly who she needed to remove. There was an attractive blonde girl who stretched unnecessarily between runs to show off her assets, and her eyes wandered. Yes, it would be best to start with her. It had been immensely satisfying to isolate her and take care of her directly, ideally with an axe in hand, but that would be difficult to hide, and she needed to preserve their life together. For several days, Lizzie skipped some of her classes, watching the girls' schedule. She had a car kept in the east parking lot and frequently drove out of town. It seems that she wasn't a particularly careful driver and didn't wear a seatbelt either, so it would be easy to set everything up. The only problem was cutting her brake lines, what the girl wouldn't notice while backing out. That wouldn't do at all. While considering this problem, Lizzie acquired gloves, checked for cameras, and made other preparations. Lizzie, is everything okay? You're not, stalking people preparing to kill them or anything, are you? Lizzie abruptly realized that she had been scribbling her plans at home, in front of him. John didn't look suspicious because he trusted her, but he knew something was wrong. She felt a surge of love that he knew her so well, but she realized that she had made a mistake letting him see. She needed to hide everything deep inside her, at least until she could remove the problem. Everything's fine, John. There have been just some mean girls in class who really upset me lately, I see. You can always talk to me, Liz, you know that, right? Of course! But she couldn't talk to him about this. Not about this horrible girl. No, she needed to take care of this herself, to protect them. Lizzie gave John her sweetest smile. She could be stronger than this, swallow the stress, and show him only all the love she had to offer. Then he wouldn't be sad, and she could eliminate the problem, and they could all have a happy college days together. A week later, she had her opportunity. A sporting event filled the eastern parking lot, making her target park on the side of the street where she would be no need to brake. Lizzie hummed romantically to herself as she drained the brake fluid, disabled the emergency brake, and manipulated the pedal until it felt natural. Then she retreated to a safe distance. By the way, if anyone's actually in a relationship, they ever consider doing something like this? No. This is not normal. This is not healthy. This is not this is not a healthy thing for a person to do. Do not do this. You ever consider doing something like this out of jealousy? No. Just reconsider your options and then say no. Then she retreated a safe distance and watched as everything went according to plan. The crash was less dramatic than she expected, but it was enough. She was certain of it, even though she had to restrain herself from going to check, because that might have cast suspicion on her. And she couldn't let anything ruin their relationship. But things were better now. The terrible girl was gone, and John wouldn't notice anything, and she could love him forever. Now there was nothing left to do but make happy college memories. Okay. We have one more achievement to get. We will start from the beginning again. We will skip this. I'll go play the first one then. Thanks, I really do that. Get more enjoyment of the story. Play the order. Oh, they just kick you out. Skip. I played the first one. We will encourage him. Nope, sometimes I just miss you so much I have to stop by. Well, I never mind seeing you. I'm glad. You've been seeming kind of down lately. Let me know if there's anything else I can do. You're already incredible, Lizzie. I'm glad to have you. Lizzie leaned in closer and kissed him again. I'll be back after class. Maybe tonight we'll both have some free time, okay? John smiled and kissed her back. The shadow in his eyes were gone, which made a new warmth flow through Lizzie's chest. Though she longed to stay, she knew that it was better to go to class, maximizing time Okay. I think last time I did we will just do a normal waiting form. Looking over her nervous notes, Lizzie decided that this was the times that she needed to prioritize her own health. Tracking him down was irrational, but she needed an outlet of some kind. Lizzie moved on one of the chairs, faced the door and sat down, staring toward. That's also not a healthy way to pass time. She knew he would come home. He always did. Until then, she would wait. How long the wait stretched, Lizzie wasn't sure. She raised a finger to her mouth and bit down on the bit. Not hard. Not even drawing blood. There was less stress than there would have been in the past. She knew he would come back. Another man might have been disturbed to learn that she was just waiting for him, staring at the door with dull eyes. But not John. He understood her, and he still loved her. It's good to have a hobby, though. That was why he would come back. After an eternity, Lizzie finally heard his steps outside. They were his. She knew the exact cadence. Her eyes lit up as she tracked the sounds as they got closer to the doorway. And as he reached the door, she leapt up and pulled it back. John, you're back! She embraced him eagerly, and he hugged her back. Then he pulled back, brushing some of the hair out of his face. Everything okay here? Sorry it took me a while. I got held back. Everything is fine now that you're here. Do you want to make dinner together? Sure, that sounds nice. I'm starved. So early, it's good. John said about helping her with preparations. They didn't have a lot to do, but even if they were just eating ramen, Lizzie wanted to give it her best. Lizzie said about cutting the vegetables, removing the bad portions and reducing the rest to appetizing chunks. Her knife flickered satisfyingly, perfectly balanced for her hand. They might need to do in many ways, but she had excellent kitchen knives to work with. Even when money was tight, he had never suggested selling. Okay, I technically have read this before. Let me see if I can have the... Damn it! Let me go back. This is going to be hard to do with them fighting my arrow. Because this is... Damn it! Never have I had to try so hard to tell someone not to have sex. It is so hard to get the arrow to click on the other thing. Damn! This is very hard. How do I do this? What if I use 2 fingers? Damn it. Okay, this is going to be 5 minutes of me trying to click the other option. I understand you're trying to make me pick that one, but you're making it too hard to not pick that one. Okay, this has to be an achievement if it's this hard. Okay, guys, bear with me here. This, Monica, you're making it too hard to other, because I can see the other option gets highlighted, just very hard to get it to pick that one. This is taking so long. Pick the don't have sex option. Come on, it has to be an achievement if it's this hard to fucking click. I found a way to game the system. If I don't touch the arrow key, but I don't touch the mouse pad, but I use the arrows. Lizzie shook her head briefly. Yes! There was a way past it. I would have never got it with the mouse pad. Lizzie shook her head briefly, forcing out the strange thought. Of course she wanted to have sex. What?! Oh, I don't have a choice in the matter. Whatever illusion I had was completely... His name over and over again, increasingly scratchy letters, wild fragments of thoughts connecting conspiracies, lists of women who had gotten close to him. She wondered what John would think if he had read this, and decided it'd be better not to burden him. Okay, we're back to skipping. It was sadder than usual, she realized. Perhaps it was because of the stress of work. Since he was covering more shifts, Lizzie resolved that she would try even harder to lift him up, make him happy as he deserved to be. Last time she was remarking how he's happier than normal. Pulling herself out of her thoughts, Lizzie set aside the notebook and returned to her real notes. She didn't need to take many. Okay. Interrogate Aaron. The idea of participating wasn't unpleasant, but it would be so much calmer if wonderful alone at home. Lizzie looked up, smiled, and made her decision. Oh, because I fucked up early, I don't have the option to do his decision, which is, you know, the one that I'm supposed to do. Okay, take care of it for him. Actually, John, let me take care of this for you. Huh? They need someone to run the flyers, right? I can do that quick. You go home and relax. Okay, thanks for helping, Lizzie. He lingered a while, but she urged him to head home. John needed some time alone. After all, if there had to be moments when they couldn't be together, it might as well be when she needed to do something else. Wow, you're really playing up the doting wife card, huh? Is there something wrong with that? No, it's your choice. Listen, I'm going to put the plan for the flyers here and you can take care of it, okay? This suited Lizzie just fine, since while the other girl could no longer directly threaten John, she was still an eyesore. Lizzie scanned the list of locations for the flyer and nodded to herself. A wide spread even into town, but not too much of an inconvenience. Someone tried to stop her when she picked up all the flyers, saying something about it being planned for several people. But Lizzie waved them off. Better to just do it herself. As she raced around the locations, Lizzie tried to enjoy the wind in her hair, and the knowledge that she was making space for John to relax. Yet part of her mind was unsettled, part of her that hadn't existed before she had come to know him well. Being alone could be good for John, but it could also be depressing. She had a difficult time telling which was which. The best way to say is this: people need time with others, but you also need time to yourself. No one, even in the healthiest relationship, should spend every moment with the other person at all times. One, you need other friends and social, relationships. You need other outlets. You also need some time to yourself as well. And no matter what, you always need plenty of sleep. It's about a healthy balance. But she became certain that something was wrong. Though she wanted to abandon the pointless activity, shred all the flyers herself, Lizzie finished distributing them so it wouldn't be a problem. Then she raced home just as she had feared. There was a sad look in his eyes. She wasn't as depressed as he had been before, just quietly doing his work. But her heart ached. Lizzie took care of him for the rest of the night until he seemed better, then held him close until he fell asleep. But though it was always peaceful lying next to him, she had a feeling she would need to spend some time with her notebook soon. I feel like some of the worst ends would be depending on how much notebook time we spend. Though she tried to make the most of the work herself, John still wanted to get involved and had been assisting in indirect ways. She did her best to take on the majority of the work and ease the stress, though. But when she came home from class one day, she realized that she might have gotten it entirely wrong. I can do more to help. You shouldn't feel obligated to help if you're feeling bad. That's kind of you, but I think you're already taking on too much. You don't need to carry everything. I can do some too. Lizzie wanted to tell him that it wasn't like that at all, that she loved helping him, but she couldn't put the words together. Her instincts might lead her to say something bad, but analyzing her words took her to a very cold place that she didn't want to use with him. Yet, she was already getting pulled into the analysis of these two competing drives. Lizzie, okay. Be quietly supportive. Kill her. Go through with it. But this Okay, still killing her. Yep. Start. Skip. Play the first one. Okay, there's one more achievement. Go meet John in the computer lab. Okay, this is a new one. Floating the old cabinet to the corner of the room, Lizzie opened it and looked at her collection. She selected her axe, of course, and took another knife to complement the one she always carried. Yes, this felt better. More certain in what she needed to do now, the stress melted away. Her world narrowed down to a single focus as she left. Locked the door and headed toward the lab. There were other people on the way, but they didn't exist for her. No physical threats, no relevant factors. Eventually she reached the building that held the computer lab where less well-off students like them had to go. She slid around a side entrance just in case, then walked inward where she hoped he would be. Finally she spotted him trying to collect his things but talking to another student, a boy, someone he worked with at the library. Lizzie knew his name, not his threat. She breathed a sigh of relief and leaned back against the wall, and beside the door of the lab. There was a simple explanation as to why he was late, as she had known there would be, but it was still comforting to watch him. Lizzie slid a hand in her purse and caressed the shaft of her axe while she waited. John finally exited, and though he looked surprised to see her for a moment, after that he smiled. Lizzie, sorry, am I that late? No, I just had to see you. She greeted him with a hug and a kiss, and then pulled back. John, let's go back home together. Sure, I'm finished now, but is everything all right? You seem a little nervous recently. It's just stress. I think wish we had more time together. I know, I wish I had things could be different too, but after this semester, She listened eagerly as he kept talking, soaking up every word. There had been a bit of tension in his voice at the beginning, and she soon realized guiltily that she might be adding to his stress, but it motored away as they spoke. By the time they neared the apartment, things were back to normal. Lizzie gave another smile. I brought some things, but I haven't gotten started. Do you want to make dinner tonight? Sure, that sounds nice. I'm starved, so early is good. What if I just keep? Can I eventually force the game? Yep, we're just going to completely shatter that I have any choice at all. Okay, retreat, gather weapons, and monitor the situation. Participate together. Putting up flyers sounds fun. Let's go together. Good, we have a plan for getting them through campus, but also all over town. John began going over her plan, which was simple enough. She could probably have done all the flyers by herself, but if she got to walk around with them, then it would be worth it. The problem was that so many other people were involved. People John delegated to other locations, suspicious girls with questions, and at one point they even needed to drive in someone else's car. It was too many people, too close for her. She had hoped it would be just the two of them. But as they worked, John was often smiling. The whole social environment, working together with people toward the same cause, seemed to make him happy. That was good, and he saved his brightest smiles for her, never getting too close to any girls. It was fine. The event left Lizzie a little nervous, but she judged that acceptable. If she could drain stress from him into herself, that was the way it should be. When they got home, John seemed lighter than usual. She found herself smiling in response to his happiness, and snuggled against him as he fell asleep after a long day, his hands stroking her hair. Okay. Lizzie had joined him in spending time with the preparations, and it had seemed to go well. She was glad to see John invested in something like this. But when she came home... Oh, I haven't been pushing you too much, have I? I liked where we worked together, so... No, I didn't mean that. It's just so much to do. But you don't have to do it all. Remember, don't push too hard. You're right. Thanks, Lizzie. Lizzie thought their conversation had gone well. Okay, we were already... This is... Okay, we'll go with don't kill her yet this time. Kill her. She spent a while indulging thoughts as to what could be done, but in the end knew that she would make the decision that was best for them. Lizzie thought of John and set those thoughts aside. All I want for you is to hold me a little longer, okay? Of course. He held her just like that way. A long time. Even afterward, when they got their textbooks and began reading, he stayed close, letting her rest against him, so they were always touching. By the time they were ready to go to bed, Lizzie no longer felt nervous about him discovering her notebooks, but she also had a feeling that she wouldn't need them anymore. Only then did Lizzie realize that she was on her feet holding her knife. Her reaction had been instinctive and instantaneous. John looked a little concerned and touched her arm. Lizzie, you're right, She sat down on the couch beside him and carefully set her knife a few inches out in her reach. expect this kind of stuff. Though it should have gotten to her, Lizzie found herself more and more anxious as it continued to avoid quite a new friend. Could this be part of a much larger scheme? Even if not, what would happen then? Okay. John didn't stop her, understanding what she needed to do. The situation might not be what he wanted, but he understood that it was necessary for them to prepare. Practicing with her blade only made her think about the potential threat. Not today, not tomorrow, but it would come. Lizzie ended up practicing long into the night. We will let it go. Okay. So, I don't know how to get the final achievement, so I'm going to have to actually look that up. So I'm going to end this part here, and in the next part, I will actually have a game plan for how to do whatever the final achievement is. Because I'm actually out of ideas here, and I think I've picked every possible option at this point. So, and I think one of the achievements is always going to be complete the gallery. So, from my understanding, given the fact that we've had relatively okay endings, I feel like there's bound to be a super bad ending that's just really hard to get. This game is much shorter and much more forgiving than the first game, but I will say this. This game, I think, is an amazing compliment to the first game, and I would say, honestly, I would definitely recommend Crimson Gray to anyone who likes any kind of visual novel or good thing with a good story. For this, the Crimson Gray series has absolutely amazing music. The artwork is good. It's not super fancy, but I like it. And honestly, I think the story is very good. And I think it's very much worth the cost, even if it wasn't on sale. Which I got it on sale and in bundle. But I will say this, even if there's no sale and no bundle, I would say, not only would I recommend Crimson Gray, but I would say after completing the normal Crimson Gray game, that you absolutely must get Dusk and Dawn. I mean, you have to play both. It's just the game isn't complete without this one. So I feel this game is not only an amazing compliment, but a necessary one. So, absolutely recommend both games, and I say you must play both. Now that being said, I have one more part to do where I figure out, because I'm going to have to look up a guide or something, because I'm not going to figure out my own. So, in the next video, we are going to figure out whatever the last achievement is together, though I'll have a gameplay telling me what to expect, because otherwise I'll never figure it out. Until then, I hope everyone had a good day. Bye.